The footage in this video is from a recent event and is therefore sponsored by EA. Should you buy Battlefield 5? BF5 is a game that has certainly divided opinion from the outset. Whether you are hyped or not, the game is certainly one that you might want to look into a little bit before buying. Is it worth a buy? Well, in this video I'm going to take a look at some of the best things in the game and then some of the bad stuff. I'll be my usual honest self and give a fair judgment on everything I come across, but as always, make sure you make up your own mind and do your research before you part with your hard-earned cash. Starting out, we will look at the good stuff. Battlefield 5 was a game that during the alpha and beta I wasn't certain about. There were some things that I really liked, but other things that I certainly didn't, and I made my views very clear on YouTube and Twitter about things that I wanted DICE to change. Now, did they change everything? Not entirely, but they have made some very positive moves towards things that I think will be better in the long run for the franchise and definitely received far better by the community. Let's start out with the obvious things that are going to be superb: the visuals and the audio. Visually, this game is just stunning. It's a move up from Battlefield 1. It definitely looks better, with the destruction being more intricate and having more things going on. So for example, snow on roofs is now open to falling off when it's shot. You can also leave really awesome footprints with your character, and there are certain things that you'll see when you play that just make you say wow. They are really awesome. When it comes to the audio, problems in the beta were mainly with footsteps not being around, and there have been instances where I've played the game and I didn't hear that guy behind me as he stabs me in the back, but it's definitely an improvement on what it was, and I've been really enjoying the war tapes option. This is something that has been in previous Battlefield games, but I think it works especially well in Battlefield 5 because of the bass that you'll receive from some of the things like exploding vehicles or a Panzerfaust shot on a plane. It's just insanely good. Have a listen to this short clip. When we nip back to the visuals for 1 second, there was a problem in the beta and alpha that people complained about, and that was the clutter on screen. You saw it with the snow on Narvik especially. This has been reduced significantly, which is a fantastic move from DICE. I do enjoy lots of different environmental effects such as fog and sandstorms in previous Battlefield games. I think they're fine just when they're done in the right way. I don't enjoy it when everywhere is foggy and you can't see where you're going, or where snow is everywhere inside the buildings and you can't see what you're doing. So I think what they've done at the minute is they've toned it back and they've reached a balance which is good for everybody. If you're making cinematic content, you're going to have that really awesome feeling of being in a snowy environment, and if you are playing purely just for gameplay, you're not going to have stuff cluttering up your screen to the same extent. The UI. This is something that again I didn't like too much in the alpha and beta, but DICE seem to have found a good balance. The skull system is a refined system from what we saw in the alpha and beta. You get a reward, or a visual reward, for hitting a headshot with the orange skull. This can of course be changed in the settings, and it does seem as though everything is far clearer and easier to see. The white text was often difficult to see in the beta especially, but that has now been altered slightly so it's easier to see, and I think the whole thing is in a good place right now. I still do prefer what we had in BF3, but obviously DICE can't just copy what they did in BF3 and go back straight away. Maybe in the future they will, but not for this game. The Gunplay Movement, this is something that I'll go into in far more depth in another video, but BF1 didn't do it for me. I'm not sure what it was about the game, but I didn't really enjoy the movements and gunplay. You felt very slow and like you were bogged down. Battlefield 4 was great, but there was a lot of bunny hopping around. People would jump everywhere. Yes, it was fun and really nice to play a game as an infantry player, but I feel as if BF5 is taking the best of both worlds. It's taking the good stuff we had from BF4 and maybe some of the good stuff we had from BF1, and then of course if you look back to BF3 with the satisfaction you had with the gunplay. No stats need to be brought into it, it's the fact that the guns feel great when you play, and Battlefield 5 definitely has that effect on me, and I think it's fantastic. Another positive thing about this game is the war stories. The visuals on this game, as I mentioned before, are fantastic, and some people do love a good campaign, and this game has an awesome campaign. There are so many things within that campaign that you will look at and think, wow. The prologue especially, it gives you a really nice taste to the entire thing, and for those playing on a large TV, or in 4K, or with a surround sound system, this game will blow you away. The attrition in Battlefield 5. Well, DICE seem to have taken a step back from that full-on hardcore attrition mode, and now it's somewhere in the middle. Since I've played the game, or the full build of the game, I have not run out of ammo once, unless I have spammed it at loads of people and deserve to run out of ammo. It's not really a problem, as it was in the alpha and beta, which will please some people and not please others. The health, again, is a little bit of a sticking point for some people because you can self-heal with every class. Personally, I'd prefer the health regen like we had in BF4, because if you're shot by someone in the open, you are going to struggle to regen health whilst under fire. At the minute, with the build that we've got at the minute, you can just click C or whatever it is on your controller and heal up instantly. So if a sniper hits you in the body, you can already heal up so you don't get one shot by his second bullet. Attrition is in a good place for the most part, just a couple of tweaks are needed. Customization is the best I've ever seen in a Battlefield game. It's absolutely mental. It's so nice. If you look in the background, there are some screenshots and some video of the customization and the extent you can go to with customization in Battlefield 5. It's just fantastic. The maps. Now, these divide opinion again. You have some maps that are close quarters and really good fun for infantry players and tanks alike, and you have some maps which are really, really open. Do you want an open map or do you want a large map? Well, maybe there are some in this game that will please you quite a lot. Personally, I like maps that have far more cover and are closer together. Even Rotterdam is a fairly large map, but I feel as if that map has far more to it than some of the bigger maps that you'll see in the game. You'll have seen plenty of gameplay of maps such as Hamada and Arras, which for the most part are great fun, but there are some things that do need tweaking. I feel as if the maps are going to be fairly similar to BF1 in terms of the balance. You're going to have some small maps, some large maps, some maps that kind of have a bit of everything going on, the tanks, the planes, the infantry, and some that are focused purely on infantry alone. Game modes. Now, this is a really positive thing for me with the game modes because you have lots of different modes available. Not only are you going to have your traditional conquest, operations, TDM, domination, you're also going to have access to modes such as Breakthrough and tag-on modes like Final Stand at the end of a grand operations, where it's almost like a mini battle royale. There's so much to do. The biggest problem that I will get onto a little later in the video is Conquest, and the fact that that mode isn't going to be as popular as it used to be in my opinion because the maps just don't quite work for it. Battlefield 5 is a game that definitely works better when you have a mode such as Frontlines or Breakthrough or Operations where people are fighting head to head over one or two objectives. Conquest is a bit spread out for me and it doesn't work as well on some of the maps, but that's for you to decide. Maybe you're not a Conquest player anyway, maybe you're more into Operations. A quick bit about the vehicles. I think the vehicles in Battlefield 5 are definitely an improvement on BF1. The planes are a lot of fun, they're definitely better than they were in the alpha and the beta. I had a load of fun. There's a clip in the background of me taking some players down in a plane. Great fun. And if you had servers that were limited to first person as well, I think that the immersion would be insane in these planes. All the dials work, you've got really good visuals out the side, the audio is fantastic, and it's just a load of fun. The tanks, they need a little bit of work. Customization is not coming to the vehicles until after the game releases. You've got to remember that this is a live service, so what EA and DICE have planned is to bring you a base game and then drip feed you more and more content over the next 1.5 to 2 years. I think customization isn't needed on release with the vehicles because there is so much other stuff to get to grips with. The customization will come in and it will give us something else to talk about, which is a nice way to do it. Talking about that live service a little bit more, it's a very positive thing. You don't have to pay for DLC. Maps will be brought to the game when they are ready, and we will have new game modes such as Firestorm, the battle royale that will be coming soon to the game. Finally, there's one more thing I want to talk about for the positive part of this game. Only in Battlefield moments. Now, in the hours that I played this game earlier in the week, I found that there were loads of only in Battlefield moments. Loads of things happened where I was just like, wow, that's really cool, and I can put that in a video or maybe people will send me top plays of this stuff. In Battlefield 1, not a lot of stuff happened like that. I felt as if the game was lacking with its only in Battlefield moments, but BF5 is certainly back. Other things that are going to be great. Trolling in BF1 wasn't really a thing. It definitely was in BF4. In Battlefield 5, you'll be able to do loads of stuff that is not necessarily useless for your team, but it's just kind of funny. Spotting is not going to be everywhere like it was in BF1, so you can hide a lot better. I found that you could hide in foliage, you could hide in trees and bushes and long grass as people ran past you, and then you could get flanks and all sorts of cool maneuvers out of the game that way. Little things like that have made this game far better in my opinion for those who play for fun. Now on to the negative things, and there aren't a huge amount of negative things on the release of this game, which is great. People will probably struggle a little bit with FPS on some of the maps and games if you're trying to run it at 1440p ultra settings. Now, I personally have never had issues with this, but I do know that on the release of some games, it can be a struggle for those playing on the lower end rigs. That being said, I think it's definitely an improvement on what we saw with the alpha and beta, and the games I was playing earlier in the week played at 160 FPS or something crazy and were just flawless. Weapons. Now, with the weapons in BF5, I don't think we personally have enough. In BF1, you had variants on every single weapon. In BF4, you had so many weapons. Oversaturated, some would say, but in Battlefield 5, it's definitely the opposite. They will be revealing more weapons with the live service. However, I would like to have seen a few more, especially some of the classics like the M1 Garand. They're not going to be here on release. And I know they're coming with other factions, but personally, I'd have loved to see that on the release. As I mentioned with the maps, some of the maps are fairly open. This is going to be a bit of a problem for those people who don't enjoy sniping or running from point to point. There are a few maps that are very, very large, and I feel as if some people aren't really going to enjoy these on Conquest. The balance of the maps is fairly nice straight away. There are a few things on the Grand Operations mode and Breakthrough mode where you think that's not really too smart, it needs tweaking. Maybe the location of an objective or the location of where you spawn in or drop in. That's been the same with every Battlefield game since they've started releasing them, so that'll be changed over time and patched. Attrition. Now this is a weird one to put in the negative side of things because I do think attrition is in a good place. That's from my point of view, but from other people's point of view, maybe you won't really enjoy it. Like, what's the point of attrition now? You don't run out of ammo, everyone can heal, and there are loads of resupply stations, so attrition doesn't really hurt you as much as it used to. Now personally I think that's fine, but others might think, well, attrition is supposed to be something that hinders you as a player and you need to work around, and DICE seem to have thought, people don't like it as much, we're going to dial it back, and we're going to make it something that isn't going to be that much of a hindrance to players. Vehicles need a bit of work. As I said, customization is coming after release, but the tanks, there are a few things that I don't really like about them. That is personal preference because, as you know, I love my vehicles, but I've got to play with them more to really understand what's going on. Visually, they look superb. The balance on some maps was definitely off. We were getting in a bit of trouble where one team wouldn't be able to leave a base or one team wouldn't be able to move out of a certain position. I definitely saw it at the beginning of a game of Rotterdam on Grand Operations, I think it was, and we just couldn't get out of our base. So we've seen that before on loads of maps in BF1 and BF4. Hopefully DICE can tweak some of these things because they are fairly good at doing this on the release of the game. Is when the problem's still there a year later where you have a bit of an issue. Finally, the one thing that really is getting to me is the fact that Conquest isn't going to be as big as it used to be. And the reason this is a problem for me is that Conquest has been the staple mode for the game for quite a few years. In Battlefield 5, the maps don't lend themselves to Conquest as much as in previous games, which could be looked at as a positive. In Bad Company 2, Rush was the game mode that really ran riot and was the best one. Conquest, not so much. In this game, in Battlefield 5, I think it's going to be Grand Operations, Breakthrough, and game modes like that are really going to take over, and Conquest is going to be just another mode you can play and won't be as popular. That's yet to be seen though, because the game obviously isn't being played by everybody, so we need to have a look at that. So, should you buy Battlefield 5? That's quite an extensive review of the game in my opinion. I think if you buy Battlefield 5, you will have a lot of fun. It's as simple as that. The game is really, really good. It's in a great place. There are loads of things to do in the game, loads of videos coming out as well that you can watch and inform your opinion on. I think it's worth the money, to be honest. With it being a live service as well, you don't have to worry about DLC. You buy the game, and that's that. The progression in the game is fantastic, not something I mentioned at the start of this video, but you will be playing for hours on end trying to unlock things or get to the next level, things that were missing in Battlefield 1. And alongside that, you're also playing for fun with friends in a really awesome environment. The customization is superb. One of the main things I love about this game is the fact you can customize your company and make everything individual to yourself. It's been missing in previous Battlefield games and everyone is going to love it. It's just an awesome thing. Let me know your opinions of this game down in the comments. I'll be looking to pin a comment that is really explaining what Battlefield 5 is all about for those people who have been up to date with the game and maybe people who've actually been lucky enough to play it already. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next video.